Each year at St Thomas, we always have a welcome back evening for parents and carers and all the children so that we can tell you a little bit about what's happening throughout the year. Unfortunately, due to current guidelines, we're not allowed to invite you into school, so I thought we could do it virtually. So here's my welcome to Year 4 presentation for everybody who's going to be involved with our Year 4 class. So at the end of the presentation, you can ask any questions by email, which is chris.pemberton@stthomas.cumbria.sch.uk. Okay, let's try start the presentation. So, first of all, it's really important that I think you know a little bit about me. So, I've been teaching for 10 years now. I started my career in London and I taught in London for 3 years. And then I went off to Thailand and taught in a Thai school for 3 years, in a British international school in Thailand. And then I did a little bit of supply teaching for a year when I came back from Thailand. And now I'm in my 5th year at St Thomas's. I've been a PE coordinator in schools, I've been an inclusion coordinator, I'm in charge of curriculum enrichment, but my current role at St Thomas is a science subject leader as well. So recently I got married 2 years ago in Thailand to Mrs. Pemberton, who you might have seen around the school. I love sport, all sorts of sports. Recently I've got into triathlons, which is very hard work. I mean, you might see me pushing my bike up hills and things like that around the Lake District. I love enjoying the Lake District and walks. And at the bottom here we've got my passions are travel. I love the ocean. I've been lucky enough to do quite a bit of scuba diving. And then the other two there are my 2 children, my dog Pinocchio and Essie, who's actually going to be starting reception next year in Mrs. Cunliffe's class. So very exciting to have my daughter in school as well. Okay, so now I'm going to tell you a little bit about the curriculum. So a little bit about what's going to happen each day in school. So we'll start with maths. Now, maths lessons will take place every day. Times tables are really important in Year 4 because at the end of the year, or towards the end of the year in June, there'll be a times table check where there's a 25 question test to see. It's a check between Year 2 and Year 6 to see that everyone's progressing well. And also times tables are so important for all different types of maths, all different questions and fractions and problem solving. So in our maths lessons, I play lots of games and try and focus a lot on mastery and using equipment to try and the concrete resources to try and solve those problems. But we'll try and take it outdoors and make it real life. And I think that's really important so they can see, children can see why learning that bit of maths, learning those times table is so important for real life problems. Okay, and then English. So we'll have English lessons every day as well. And I love to have a book at the heart of all we do. So I'm going to start off with Wind in the Willows, but later in the year we'll do things like Horrid Henry projects and Beowulf with the myths and legends, and some really exciting books to get our teeth into. So, but we'll have grammar focus in all our lessons, and we'll try and link as where possible to the theme that we're studying at the time. Spellings are going to be very, very important as well. So we'll try and learn all of our Year 3 and 4 common exception words, which you can find on the website, but also lots of the new spelling patterns and trying to get to grips with the strange spelling that some of the English language gives us. And then reading skills and reading comprehension, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit more detail, because reading is always a huge focus in Year 4. We're trying to make them independent readers, but really enjoy their reading as well. So curriculum links. So I will endeavour to create curriculum links wherever possible. So in the first term, we do Land of Hope and Glory, which is mainly a geography topic, which is all, we look at Britain and look at the different countries and cities and the capital cities, and then we look at river systems and mountains and important areas. So using a lot of mapping skills, and I link that with solids, liquids, and gases and the water cycle. So we'll start learning about weather and things like that, about how rain's formed. And then after the half term, we will move on to a make a banana keyboard topic, which is really good fun, where children start to take control of a computer by making their own different devices and remote controls and things like that, using electrical circuits. And they have lots and lots of fun on this, and it's a really difficult skill, but really a strong link with science, with electricity, but also computing as well. So lots of try coding and things like that to try and get to grips with this the modern technology. Okay, so the extra bits. So in our class this year, we're going to have Mrs. Coates helping us as our TA, and we'll be sharing Mrs. Coates with Year 3. So our hub or our bubble will be Mrs. Coates, Mrs. Wright, and myself, and we'll be Mrs. Coates will work between Year 3 and 4 and possibly take some groups out with a mix of Year 3 and 4s. So that's our big hub, and we're lucky enough to have Mr. Moorhead in Year 4, who's going to be teaching PE on a Tuesday morning. And like I said in my previous video, the children should wear their PE kits all day on Tuesdays to save them from getting changed and bringing lots of things into school. Okay. So reading challenge. Now, I said earlier we're going into a bit more detail about reading. So in Year 4, the reading challenge is 5 days for 5 weeks. And the way I record it is I count up as how many times they have recorded their reading each week, and then tally it up and see if they've reached their 5 days for 5 weeks reading challenge. And in Year 4, I do encourage them to record themselves, but it is lovely to see messages from adults at home to try and make so that they know that they're reading properly and maybe not being a bit sneaky with their reading in their reading journals. Okay, and then I'm focusing a lot on reading behaviour. So I'm trying to encourage children to choose books that they really enjoy and start to think about a style that they really enjoy. So it might be that they always choose a particular type of book, which I'm trying to encourage, but also trying to get that wide variety of reading and reading for a reason as well. So lots of reading skills we're going to be teaching in lessons, but I'm going to give them a lot of responsibility to change their books themselves. So if they need to change their book, they need to come and ask me and be in charge of that themselves, because obviously a big class and there's lots and lots of children who need to change their books all the time. So I need them to choose the right books for them, and that's really, really important. And also reading comprehension, so understanding their books, and we'll do a lot of reading comprehension lessons in school, but it's also maybe asking questions about what they're reading and what's happened, and trying to understand those, because some children will be reading some very complex books now, and it's really important that they are understanding what they're reading as well as just reading the words. Okay, so reading is very, very important. So reading is going to be a big focus. We're going to do guided reading, and we're going to learn all of our specific skills. Look at the books at the heart of all of our learning. So all of our writing that we'll do will be based around different books, and we'll maybe steal some ideas from these brilliant authors to get some better ideas of what we're going to write. Reading for learning as well. So using atlases in the first term will be really important in our Land of Hope and Glory topic. And at home and school, reading for pleasure. So starting to really enjoy their reading, and then all become role models. So I want them to, if they've got younger brothers and sisters, or we can go and, I want them to show that they can be role models, but also parents and teachers and all their adults at home showing that how important reading is. And I think that then reading becomes a little bit more important. I just zoomed out a bit because I'm not sure whether you can see and demonstrate its importance. I think it's all really important that everyone in the household demonstrates how important reading is. Okay. And then educational visits. Now these are going to be obviously very different this year, and we're not going in the first term up until Christmas. We will not be going on any trips out of school. But I've started to think about maybe we can think what we can do instead. So we can have some workshops of our own, some exhibitions maybe, and we can we can organise some bits to come into school. We can have a dressing up day and create some special days rather than going on trips. And so I've put in green there the promises. Um, our promises will continue, but we're going to have some slight changes just to make sure that we can still do our 21 promises, but they'll look very different. Because unfortunately, a lot of my promises come from York. When we go to York, we do lots of different activities in York to try and it's because they're all going to be brand new experiences. But I've decided we're going to change them up a bit and still be just as fun, but just look very different to previous years. Okay, so new procedures. Now, in my previous video, I've explained these in a lot more detail for the children, but very quickly. So our day will start at 8:40, and they'll be picked up at 3:15 from the top gate. Okay, and we'll walk into school together, and we'll walk out of school together. We will need to wash our hands regularly. Assembly will be in class. We will have one set of toilets, and it'll be one at a time in those toilets. We still have lockers, but we won't have drawers anymore. And playtimes will be just year 3 and 4 outside in specific areas. Okay, and then a little bit about my philosophy then. So, in our philosophy in year 4. So our value is humility. And I talk a lot about compromise as well. So in our RE lessons, we'll be focusing in the first term about lots about humility as a not only a Christian value but a human value, and how we can show humility in the community and maybe take some inspiration from characters who've shown humility. And I think there's quite a few up-to-date ones after the pandemic that's just happened. And I'd like to focus a lot on the child development. Now, I did a little bit of reading during lockdown about how the age that I teach, year 4, is there's a lot going on, and the chemical balances in the brain and the development of year 4 children is really quite extreme, and they go through actually some of the biggest changes they do, and they start to realise how important they are in the world, but also that there is a whole wider world around them. Maybe in younger years, it's lots about themselves, but now they're realising that there's lots of other people to consider, and also the body is changing so much, and that's really quite difficult to understand, and also to try and deal with as well. So we talk a lot about mental health, and I've already got planned to do our calming bags to help us feel nice and calm at the when things are getting a little bit stressful in the school or even outside of school. So I like to guide children through their own development, especially in this really important age group. Homework this year will be very similar to how it was run in year 3. So we'll get spellings each week, and we'll encourage the children to read every single day, and encourage them to use TT Rockstars as much as possible and as much as they're allowed on their tablets, because times tables and reading are a huge focus for year 4. But then on top of that, we'll get blocks of homework. So for about 2, 3, or maybe even 4 weeks, they'll have a block of games and challenges to complete for various subjects. So it might be writing a quick diary, or doing some maths problems, or creating their own maths problems. But then also we like to include our homework projects based on the theme that we're learning for that term. So I like to think that this gives less pressure for the parents and the children on homework, and it's a little bit more fun and engaging, and getting the whole family involved. to my teaching philosophy. I like to make fun and vibrant lessons, and I like to have lots of jokes and things with the children. I'm sure they might have told you a little bit about that already. I like to have and make sure that we're all engaged and having fun. I think that makes education much more alive. So I like to bring it to life, but by maybe going outdoors and trying to get the children to bring out their own creativity, because there'll be 33 of us with all our different creative brains. So I like to use what the children are really interested in as well, which is why each year is so different, and what the classes bring. Okay, so yeah, we'll try and go outdoors as much as possible, but also learn about the outdoors as much as possible as well. And I've got a passion for spirituality as well. So not just so using our Christian values, but developing our own spirituality and developing what we feel is most important to live a successful life and a happy life. And through education, we can see why that's so important. And with a big focus on humility, which is our year 4 focus, but being fun and being a little bit silly and having jokes with the children. Most important bit is that I need to have trust, and I need to trust them, so we can have a little bit of a laugh and have our jokes, but then we know straight away once that's finished we need to get back and focus on our work, and they need to be able to trust me and I need to be able to trust them, that we can do that, so we can have a really successful relationship and learn lots and lots next year in a fun way, hopefully. Now, in the news, there's been lots about how we're going to catch up children, or I put catch up question mark, because what I need to do in the first couple of weeks in school is start to think about where I think some of the gaps might have been, because obviously they have been off for 6 months almost, and it's really, and they'll have missed some of the year 3 curriculum. So I know that there's varied amount of work that's been done, so it's really important that I have a really good understanding. So eventually what we're going to do is, once I've tested them on a few different bits and tested each child and thought about where the gaps are, then we'll start to include some interventions and think about what we can do in class and maybe in small groups with Mrs. Coates or myself to try and plug some of those gaps that maybe have come about because of lockdown. So that might take a few weeks just to get up and running, to decide which bits are the most important to catch up on. But we will think about doing that throughout the year, and I know it will be a long process, but that's my job, and that's what I'm going to make a priority this year, because there's lots in the news, as I said, and as a school and as a teaching group, we've been talking a lot about the sort of things that we can do, and we've got lots of interesting and ideas to try and try and put your mind at rest, that we will get to the bottom of all the different bits, and by the end of year 4 they'll be ready for year 5. Okay, and that's the end of my presentation there. So at the bottom again, I've put my email address. So if you do have any questions at all about anything I've said there, or I've rushed too much, you can always pause and go back. So that was my virtual welcome to year 4, and I really look forward to working with your children next year, well, in a week's time. And please, again, I'm going to say it once more, please ask any questions, and the best way to communicate with me is through that email address. If you go through the office and things like that, it takes a long time to get the messages to me sometimes. So please feel free to email me, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Okay, thank you.